novel example. We go to Air Liquide, and Air Liquide is an oil and gas company. They have 3 diversity goals. They have targets, they have bias mitigation, which is a huge focus in terms of their goals and leveraging on policies. And they have a strategy to create a culture of inclusion through events, different L&D offerings, and mentoring, and as well as their networks and communities. We are looking at an initiative from Air Liquide that's called the Inclusion Movement. What's this? They created Inclusion Movement to generate fresh ideas on inclusion. They were aiming to create a viral effect. They wanted their employees to have fun and feel engaged. So the team came up with an innovation toolkit. They deployed this through 5 bootcamps. They used an agile approach by empowering individuals to create their own inclusive experiment, community learning, peer coaching. And they had 5 focus areas that you can see over here. Sorry, it's a bit cut off. There is the community staffing and teaming, decision making, meetings, communication channels, and informal touch points. So looking at all these different platforms and touch points on a day-to-day basis, and to see how can they improve the sense of inclusion in these areas. And the take home from one of the participants is that this has generated much more than just engagement. It was personal empowerment to create inclusion. So what this participant shared is that we all have the power to promote inclusion, as you all do over here. And we shouldn't underestimate the impact of even the smallest action towards an environment promoting inclusion, diversity, and psychological safety. This is another initiative from Air Liquide. It's called Handy Varsity, and this is their initiative for disability inclusion. There are many parallels to be drawn with Women in Business initiative as well. There are 3 key areas. The recruitment team undergoes training to mitigate bias on persons with disability hiring. They have networks that plug their recruitment teams into talent supply. These networks also monitors and guides the inclusion of hires into the task force. They also appoint champions for inclusion, which they call Handy Varsity Ambassadors. These persons become the on-site support for PWDs. And aside from this, they also do share their best practices with their suppliers to encourage the whole ecosystem to be including persons with disabilities into the workforce. And so to round off the inspirational case studies part, these are 5 of the factors from McKinsey on what drives success in DEI initiatives. So 5 things were highlighted. One is that we need to understand what is the root cause or opportunities in diversity, equity, inclusion, and in some cases, belonging. Number 2, how do we define success? Because this is very important at the end of the day when you are speaking with your sponsor or your executive management. You want to be sure that you have defined success from the beginning and you are updating on the progress to success. There's no surprises at the end of the day. Third, you need accountable and invested business leaders in your journey. Fourth, your solution has to be designed for the pain points that you observe, the opportunities you have observed, and for your particular context. Number 5, it's rigorous tracking and course correction. And again, you see similarities between what McKinsey pulled out and what I pulled out as some of the key parts of the framework that you can use. All right, we've come to actually the end of the training for today, and now it's really the discussion part. Feel free to ask your questions, unmute yourself, or be typing your questions into the discussion.
Rain, probably I'll start. One question is,
Yes.
what do we mean by celebrating diversity with no equity?
Okay, I'll give an example there. And at the same time, while people are thinking, I'll also put up this, or someone had prepared a feedback form, right? Karthik? Do you want, because some people, they might not have any questions, and you can put yes. And if you don't have any questions, perhaps you can just help us to fill up this feedback form. So what is diversity without equity? You bring in, so one example that I gave was that you hire in the people, or for example, you promote women into senior leadership position, right? Because you have a quota to meet. Your CEO says that we need to increase, so we increase and we put more women into leadership, but they don't have a voice at the table, or they are not given sufficient leadership coaching. You have set the person up for failure. So that is one of the examples. Or diversity without equity is that, yeah, you hire in more diverse people because you want more diversity. You've heard that diversity is good, but your policies are not made equitable. A very simple example is that you don't have your reasonable accommodation set up for persons with disabilities. You have not even done your processes in place. And after you hire in, then you scramble. And that's really not equitable because you have not prepared yourself to be able to support your employee properly. And yeah, so there's another example. Any more questions for anybody?
Yeah, thank you, Rain, for the wonderful session. Thank you so much. Great insights.
And if you find it hard to reply on the polls quizzes, you can also just scan the feedback form if that's easier for you.
Yeah. To hear from Poonam the session, if you can come, give a short feedback.
Thank you so much for joining us for this hour. And this is actually my first India training. I'm looking forward to much more. Just to give you a bit more of background myself, I've actually worked on India for close to almost 20 years off and on. And at one point I was very early in my career. This was just a short fellowship. I was with Delight, which is a social entrepreneurship that manufactures LED lights to replace kerosene lamps. And I was living in Noida, which is just outside of Delhi, for 1 month. And I traveled into the villages. When I was with Procter & Gamble, I also did a lot of research work in India. I worked on India Tree. If you're familiar with the SEC, the social economic classes, the way that it's classified in India. Yeah. And so I have a huge heart for India. And that's the reason why I want to do work up there, because there's so much great potential in India. And especially now there is more support. I think that having a more structured and strategic way to look at DEI would help to accelerate the social impact in India.
Sure. Rain. Yeah, thank you so much. Juhi and Poonam and Vinay, any comments, any feedback from your side?
It's been a really wonderful session, Rain. It's really nice to understand, how we can be more inclusive in our workplace. So good insights, and really great that I was part of this training.
Thanks for joining us. And feel free to reach out, Juhi, Mamatha, Navya, Poonam, Vinaya. Feel free to reach out if you need anything, or if you have a problem that you just want to toss it over to us for some ideas.
Yeah, sure. Vinay, any comments from your side, Vinay? Vinay, any comments from your side? Or Poonam?
Or you can put your comments into the
I don't know. I'm not able to hear
Oh.
Rain well for past 10 minutes. But I would say that it's a very interesting topic, and you did discuss the models well. But since it's so vast, would love to, have a little more in-depth explanations and things like that, because I think 1 hour is too short to grasp everything and, kind of understand each step of the model that you discussed here. It was really good. Thank you, Rain.
Thank you, Punam.
Thank you. Thank you, Punam, for joining.
Karthik, did you want to wrap up the session with something on Saira?
Yes, I just want to quickly give an update of what is there ahead for May 2024. So
I think not able to hear you.
One. Is it better?
Yeah.
So before we wrap the session, I thought I'll give an update of the 2 events which we are looking forward in the month of May. We have a job fair planned. We are conducting along with Rotary Abilities on May 4th, Saturday, at APS College, Basangudi, Bangalore. That is one job fair which is exclusively for the person with disabilities. So we have close to 13 plus 15 employers has been registered, and close to 400 jobs have been published. And so far we have attracted close to 180 candidates. We're looking to add in more. We are doing social media and other out communications, external communications, which is going to increase the registration. So we're looking to host at least 300 to 400 candidates on the day of job fair. So that is one update which I wanted to, in case if anybody wants to join. Juhi is already part of it, but others want to join, please let me know. Second, we also are part of the knowledge skills series. We conduct a seminar, webinar every month. So this month, in fact, we had in April we had 2 sessions. One is for a person with disability on the interview preparation, and another one the special session for the partners. For which I would like to thank Ryan for this insightful and meaningful session. And next month we have another session similarly, which we are planning. The date and topic will be finalized. Again, it will be more of a knowledge series webinar which we are planning it. So these are the 2 events which we are looking forward in the month of May, and I request everybody to join and make use of this. And once again, thank you so much for making time and participating.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you,
For the
Karthik.
wonderful
Thank you,
session.
Rain. Thank you, Rain, and thank you, Karthik.
Nandan,
Yes.
is there anyone that's added in the list later? Because
I believe Vinay is still on the call.
Sir Vinay sir, can you hear us? Hello. Hello.
I'll add him to the waiting room as we are doing the meeting. Yes, it's just us now.
Okay.
All right. I can't see the details of the poll. I can see the
So I'll
I
have to
can
download the poll results online. I'll download that and share them.
Okay.
Nandan, you
Yeah.
can share the registered list as well. If Ryan required, we can share that list to him as well. There are 13 of them have actually registered, Ryan, apart from
Yeah, no
there are a
problem.
couple of them.
Yeah.
So
Mm. I think what we can do is that we can let me look at the designations of the other 9 people or so, 8 or 9 people.
Yeah, so
And
I was personally invited DLI head Reena, who has registered as well, but unfortunately she couldn't be there. I in fact messaged in the morning and the 5
Yeah.
minutes before we started as well. Likewise.
well, people do get into emergency meetings, overruns, and stuff like that. But
No, she
nowadays
has registered a 3-4 days before it. So I think Monday itself she got registered.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. I was thinking of looking at the designations of the people who didn't turn up to see whether it's worth kind of like talking to them directly to offer very specific training. So one of it that we're still trying to tie down is our agreement with Jobs for Humanity. So that's why Rajni asked for your help to put in that costing so that we can send it across to him, because they are trying to discuss about the percentage, and we just need to make sure that you are well covered in terms of your profits, because the percentage they're asking for it's kind of like 50-50 is what they want to target for, but it should remove all the cost first. Yeah. So let's see.
Rain, if you have a minute, I have a query on that the request which has come. So is it okay if I
Just one minute.